Marky Worthington Podcast all day.
All day.
Dream by night.
Don't buy me a drink. Just give me $10.
All day.
Go down to the strip club with your floppy disk and turn it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. You'll get fucking thrown out by Big Tony.
We're here to name names and make people feel more ashamed for shit that they're not proud of.
Don't blow it. Keep it simple. Count your money.
Oh, whatever it is.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. This is episode 33, the second part of the Jeffrey Charles episodes. This one here, we get more into the English teacher heavy side of the episode. We go through some idioms and their meanings, definitions, and origins. So we give our take on each one of those. It was a good fun episode. We do all the usual tangents as well. And you'll notice the video stops recording about halfway through. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's just a cover image after that with the audio. And for anyone listening on the audio platforms like iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, you'll notice that nothing changes. So keep watching as you were, I guess. As far as dates, we've got the basement coming up on Wednesday the 20th, so not long now, starting at 8 o'clock, doors from 7:30. Head on down to that one. Still already got a solid lineup of comedians and attention for audience. And then the following day, on Thursday the 21st, Jeff's got fundamentals at Smith's Alternative in the city. Check out social media for links for tickets and all that sort of stuff with fundamentals at Smith's on the 21st. Thanks everyone for listening, and if you're on YouTube, thanks for watching, as well as thank you for watching the other content that I've got out on YouTube, as well as my my gaming stuff that I've started and other videos that I've been putting up. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Here's myself and Jeffrey Charles. All right, get into our idioms, man. I'll kick it off with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So, cat got your tongue.
Okay, so my understanding of this is that, like, I always thought it had to do with furballs. So, like, because with the cat, like, so, like, you know, obviously, if you can't speak, then yeah, that's what I always thought.
So I used to think that it was like a like it had something to do with like literally like a cat attacking somebody or some shit like that, right? Like as in
it's maimed your tongue.
Yeah, it's maimed your tongue. Like
so some poor baby's like, I can't talk because the cat scratched my tongue.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I licked its coat and it bit me, sort of thing.
It's a very strange man.
It's I have like you.
I like it.
Once we get through to 10, people have a fucking weird insight into my mind. Now
it's our own version of Mindhunter here right now. So.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so do you want me to read the origin? Or?
I'll go through the origin.
Uh-huh.
So said to someone who remains silent when they're expected to speak.
Yep.
Standard. Origin. So there's two stories as to how this saying came to being.
Mm-hmm.
The first one says that it could have come from the cat of nine tails.
Oh, yeah.
Which was used by the English Navy for flogging and often leave victims speechless. Fucking brutal.
Yeah.
The other one, even worse. So the second one may have come from ancient Egypt, where liars' tongues were cut out as punishment and fed to cats.
Wow.
They're fucking brutal, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be the insight into shit that we use regularly.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy how language just is watered down over time. Of just like utterly heinous, like so messed up. It's crazy.
Yeah. But the thing is, I have these like visuals that are like behind some sayings, and I can't explain them. I'll just be like, "Oh, this is like that's where someone got their tongue bit by a cat." Like you watch me trying to explain that shit; it's fucking weird.
Yeah, it is. It's strange.
But at the same time, it's like the actual origin from that is pretty fucking fucked up too. So,
yeah.
All right. The next one we've got give the cold shoulder.
So do you want what I think it...
Yeah.
Okay.
Did
what I
you
think
ever have a
all right.
reason?
So give the cold shoulder is obviously like not being welcoming to someone or like ostracizing someone, like shutting them out.
Yeah.
I always thought this came from like British society of like where if you don't like if you misspeak and you say something that's wrong, like they'll just do the whole like just turn away from you. Yeah. So I thought it was more literally like just to like someone someone has watched someone do that, kind of like it.
Yep.
It's like, oh, really? Yes, that's interesting. Or, I really like this. And then the person just turns away and they go, oh, that's the cold shoulder.
That's similar to what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought literally it was like a physical description of turning your shoulder, meaning it was cold as in like personality. There was no like reaction to what was
distant.
being said.
Yeah.
But I'll get you to read the actual. So you've got the meaning there, which is obvious. Like we've.
Yep, I'll go the meaning.
Yep,
so reject or deliberately unfriendly to. So sorry, reject or be deliberately unfriendly to. Now you're going to see my bad reading as an English teacher. No,
that's fine. See.
Okay, this saying that is currently considered to describe someone rude was actually considered an act of politeness during medieval times in England. After everyone was done fasting. It's because feasting.
Yeah.
That's because I do intermittent fasting, everybody. Okay, I'll do that sentence again. During medieval times in England, after everyone was done feasting, the host would give his guests a cold piece of meat from the shoulder of beef or pork as a way of showing that it was time for everyone to leave.
Yeah, so it's weird. Some of these you'll see have like pretty interesting origins, and some of them are completely different to what you would think.
Yeah.
Like it was actually, as they mentioned, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
Of
it
was like a sign of politeness. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, I get it. Kind of is. Let's be honest. It's a little bit fucking dismissive as well, because it was a way of showing people that it was time to leave. Like imagine
that's like the old flicking the lights.
Yeah. It's like just imagine walking up to somebody and just being like, I hope you enjoyed the feast tonight. Here's your piece of shoulder. And they were like, oh, I get it. It's time to leave. Like, you can tell at some point why somebody... Like, if you do it depends on your personality. If you walk up there and you're just like, hey, guys, thanks for coming out. Look, before you head off, don't forget to go grab some of the cold shoulder.
Yeah.
But if you just walk up to them with it on a plate and go like, oh... like it's time to leave, then all of a sudden people are just going to be like, holy shit, at some point someone was given a bad impression. That's probably why it's become a bad term.
I had a relative who literally would tell us, all right, you're done. Like they just, it was like running the light. Like they would just go, okay, all right, we're done here. You need to go. Like they were very blunt. They were actually, they weren't from England. Their parents were, but they were just very blunt. They'd just be like, and they were nice people, don't get me wrong, but they'd just be like, oh, okay, that's it. And we'd just be like, all right then.
Dude, the amount of fucking times that I wish I could just have that sort of like personality and get away with it. Like, dude, the amount of times that I don't... It's not that I don't like people, it's just that...
Tell me what you're thinking. Imagine you're on the couch right now, okay?
Well, look, the thing is, Jeff...
Okay, so am I going to get a piece of meat now? And am I
no. So the thing is, sometimes, although I'm like a fairly social person, I love just sitting at home and like watching TV. So like, whenever I'm hanging out with someone, they should just know that I'm choosing this over watching TV.
It's a big sacrifice.
It's a fucking like. I can understand why people are just so blunt with it, because there's sometimes... You ever been in an awkward situation where you're just like, fuck, dude, I just want to, like, get out of this, and there's no other way to do it than to just say it?
Yeah.
I feel like that's where that kind of personality originates. It's like someone was once just sick of beating around the bush, so now they're just constantly that kind of person, so that they can just always speak their mind.
A friend of mine, like, because I'm a bit older, I'm about 10 years older than you, Marky, and like, a friend of mine who's about my age made a really, really salient point, which was that I'm not going to waste time that I don't, like, sorry, that's terribly phrased. I'm not going to waste the rare spare time that I have. Because this person's also a parent and, super busy. Not to say that people with our kids aren't busy, but yeah, like when you do become a parent, you're like, oh my God, like how did I waste all this time before that? But literally I was like, let's go and do this. And they were really brutal to me, but they were like, I'm sorry, but I've only got precious time. I've got it. And I was like, you know what? I respect that.
And that's something I've learnt more recently. Up until about 25, I used to just go to everything when someone asked me. And, dude, I haven't got kids, but... I get to be in the same age group of people that do now. Like I'm getting to the age where my friends are having kids and stuff. And I can kind of understand where the time frame comes from.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like all of a sudden I've got all this spare time because I'm not spending it with people that have now got kids.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going like, fuck, dude, like, look how much extra time I have compared to others. And, I choose to fuck around doing podcasts and shit. So,
Oh, well, you and me both. So
Yeah,
I do it and I got kids.
dude, legend. That's why I'm happy that we're able to have some time here. And we've
Definitely.
run a little longer. But
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
Glad, but I'm glad that we could get all this done, because you haven't been on the podcast since the first time.
That was
it was like
episode 3, wasn't it?
and it was a
Yep.
joint episode with Bradley Bishop. So
I felt so sorry about that. Like, no, it was good. No, not sorry for doing it. I just turned up and I was just like, oh, hey, when does the
like
mic
daylight
start?
savings,
It was daylight
yeah.
savings. And I was like, when does the mic start? And Marky's like, oh, I'm doing a podcast. And I was like, I'll just piss off then and I'll just sit in the car. You very kindly said, nah, like hop in.
jump in on it. Yeah,
it was
no,
good.
it ended up being a good episode.
It was
but,
fun. Yeah.
But yeah, well, we don't know how good it may have been without you, so I don't know.
Let's leave that metric.
yeah. So the next one we've got is bury the hatchet.
Okay, so that's obviously to like end a dispute with somebody.
Yeah.
To like, or to bring it to a head or whatever and like move on. I reckon it's got like, okay, I'm not going well with the strike rate here of getting the etymology of these things. I think it was literally something, again, I'm going to go medieval and I'm going to say it's like literally burying a hatchet.
Yeah.
Like some weird ritual where you would like get a hatchet and just dig it up and bury it. I don't understand what it would be. So
Yeah, that's pretty solid. I actually given the origin of the first one, I went medieval on this as well, but I went like medieval as in like war times, right?
Oh, okay.
So I actually thought that like kind of like how in the I guess you could say like the country western sort of movie style with this
like spaghetti western kind of thing.
yeah, like the standoff, like the
the high
showdown.
noon kind of thing. Yeah.
I thought there would literally be like if two people are having problems, like having a beef, then they would literally be both given a hatchet and say, "All right, hatchet out between you two."
Oh shit! Wow.
So it was like bury the hatchet, right?
Or here's okay. I'm going to go with a second one. Am I allowed another one?
Go.
Okay. It could again. Okay. I'm getting very literal with this, even for an English teacher, which is weird. But it could just be like watching someone bury a hatchet into someone, like as you said, like in the battlefield. So it's just a straight up metaphor of like you do it, you kill the issue, you move on.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So that's your second one. I'll read the meaning and origin from this. So the meaning is end a quarrel or conflict and become friendly. That's pretty. We had the meaning.
Yeah, we're on the mark.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also on the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. On the mark and
on the mark and the marky.
Back to radio. So for those of you just joining us, welcome to your drive home. Yes. Anyway, the time is now 4:30. Anyway, so so the origin is during negotiations between
Puritans.
there we go, and Native Americans, men would bury all of their weapons, making them inaccessible.
Yeah, I think we're pretty
close.
Yeah.
Thanks for the help on that. Well,
That's all right.
Tell me the meaning of that word, Puritans.
Again, I'm no expert on
I've never felt dumber. Like I literally, dude, I literally just leaned in a little bit. Like I leaned in. Like
I was there. But dude, I'm a teacher. I did like there. So, okay. So my understanding of the Puritans were that they were Christian, but they were quite like hardcore, like kind of like the equivalent hardcore, like evangelical kind of Christians. And a lot of those, so there were the Puritans and the Quakers, and a lot of them left Europe because like the mainstream churches like Protestant and like Church of England and Catholic or Anglican, we call it here in Australia now, they were basically like, we don't like you guys are psychos, like we don't agree with your views or whatever.
Yeah.
So they became ostracized. And not the Mormons, because that was born in America. That was who am I thinking of? The Amish.
Yeah.
Where they all left Europe and they went to America.
Yeah.
And they basically started up, their own sort of thing. So I'm thinking the Puritans are like that. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm good with 20th century American history. Like colonial American history. I'm not as good. But yeah. So
yeah, dude. Like, so like I printed this shit out. I got it all. I copied it from the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
I love it.
Yeah.
We should do a follow-up pod on this. Like, you should literally just pull some stuff out. We should just talk about it. This is great.
I might get used to having to do research. Dude, the only research I've ever done for a joke is I was doing a bit about Terminator 1 and
Great movie.
And yeah. And I actually Googled what year it came out so I could
1985, was it?
No, 84. Oh. So I thanks for playing today, Jeff.
Yeah,
We're looking for
right.
1984 there, unfortunately. Well,
Thanks,
you still
guys.
get to keep the consolation prize. See,
That's
I said complication prize. Like, I just don't know. It's exactly what I fucking
we're
said
falling
before.
apart. Yeah.
Okay, so here's another one, which I hear regularly in comedy.
Yep.
Meaning, well, without going into the meaning just yet, but it's when... I've used it in comedy when someone's about to go on stage, right? And the idiom is break a leg.
Right. Means good luck.
Meaning good luck. And what would you say the origin, if you were to make one up?
Well, it comes from the theatre, I think. So, because you hear it obviously in the theatre as well. That's what I think.
Yep.
I think it might go back to some performance, some actual performance where someone literally broke their leg. Again, literal. I'm going, and it went well. Like,
yeah.
So that's like
Become a thing.
Yeah. It's like, and there's weird things like that. Like in theatre, they don't call Macbeth. They call it the Scottish play.
Right.
So it's bad luck
To say
to
the
call it
name.
Macbeth. Yeah. So, that's what I think. What do you think?
I'd have to go with that one. It was... Like, in my mind, it was something similar. Like, it was like someone once upon a time broke their leg. But I was thinking that it was actually... This is my insight into this. I thought that maybe there was a role once upon a time where someone had to act as if they broke their leg in a performance.
Okay.
And in doing so, they actually broke their leg. And they were like, that's the best fucking performance
method
ever.
acting.
You did such a great job. You even limped off stage and everything.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, I actually broke my leg. So they were like, holy shit, like, that's the new thing that we say to people.
That's like a better version of me going to Canberra Hospital after closing Smiths.
Yeah. So in Canberra, we actually say dislocate a shoulder.
Just like, hey, I'm up for it. I'm up for it. Let's do it. Okay, do you want me to read the origin?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. It is believed that the phrase dates to World War I Germany and a saying used by German actors, Hals und Beinbruch, which translates to a broken neck and a broken leg. Besides that, it still doesn't make sense why you would wish someone to break a leg. Well, as it turns out, popular folklore down through the ages encourages people to wish others bad luck since it was believed that wishing someone good luck would tempt evil spirits. So, you guessed it, people have started wishing each other to break a leg in order to actually not break one.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So that's a... Don't worry, people. That's nearly one of the most wordy origins we've got. And I had a little German in there, so that's why I somehow managed to plan it so that Jeff read that one.
No problem.
But yeah...
I did Year 11 German, as it turns out. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's at a Year 11 state.
It's way below that.
I remember we had exchange students come to our school, and they were Japanese exchange students, and one of the kids at school was from a Japanese family, and he was like he was able to speak Japanese to the exchange students. Yeah, he also became a bit of a translator.
Cool.
It got to the point where he was like telling people how to like say certain things if you wanted to talk to the Japanese students. But obviously in high school this turned into him telling them to say shit which they thought meant something which actually meant something else.
Yeah.
And for one of our like final pieces of work for Japanese, we had to actually introduce ourselves to the students and then tell them something about us. And I obviously didn't listen in class. I didn't pay attention or anything. So basically in lunchtime before that class, I said to this guy, all right, I got to do this thing. What do I say? And he goes, and anyone that knows Japanese is going to go like, you just said this with the biggest fucking accent, which is so bad. But he says, oh, just go up to them and say, Watashi wa Worthington Mark desu.
Okay.
Onu to mone ga suki desu ka.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, that sounds good enough. I'm like, what's it mean? And he goes, oh, it just says, that you because I used to play golf and I was in the chess team.
Oh, right.
And he was just like, it just says that I play golf and chess. And I'm like, cool, that's enough to pass my fucking exam. And so I go there and I say it, and all these like Japanese students do the anime laugh. Like they put their hand over their mouth and start laughing. And they look at the teacher, and he looks back at me and just says, just take a seat, Mark. Now, over the years, I may have forgotten exactly what I said, and my example I just gave then may not have been spot on, but basically what I said was, hi, my name is Mark Worthington, and I like women and breasts.
Oh, no. So you got cancelled in the middle of class.
I got cancelled in year 9, yeah, so I've been on the shaky grounds ever since.
Oh,
but, dude had a laugh about it, we all had a laugh about it, and at the end of the day, it was just like a thing. And the funny thing was, he actually was trying to put a fun fact in there for me by saying that I like chess, but he meant like breasts.
Oh, no.
So like he actually translated it wrong, so he stitched himself up a little bit.
Jesus. That's... should we do the next one?
Yeah, let's put it. Fuck. You're just like, holy shit, dude. Came here to cancel you, not me.
Oh, God.
So the next one is bite the bullet.
Okay, so bite the bullet, again, it means to, like, address an issue. So, like, if you're, like you've got to go and talk, like, if you're a manager and you have to, like, talk to your employee of, like, hey, Jeff, you're not doing your job, then you're biting the bullet by addressing the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, coming to like, having to do something.
So obviously the meaning, I use that regularly myself as well.
Yeah,
I chose sayings that I say.
Okay.
Not all of them.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah. I know and have used these before. But to me, it was the same thing. But where do you think the origin came from?
I'm going to go, it's a pre-war thing where I'm going to say that the soldiers would literally bite the bullets before they went and fought, so they'd pass it around and then, or like, that's not, why would you click? No, it'll be, like, yeah. Why did I make a click? That makes no sense. It's like no one eats like that. So anyway, yeah, I can't. Chomp, okay?
I
chomp
get
on the
it.
butt.
It's just funny to click. Like it was like a just a weird, like a good luck click.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
that's actually speaking of which, that's the origin that I made up for that saying in my own mind. Was like, you know how people will like blow on the dice before they roll it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I actually thought that it was a way of good luck. Like they would bite the bullet before putting it into the magazine to be like, this is
the lucky bullet.
So it was like, in my mind, I was like, this is a thing that people would do when they didn't want to do something. They were like, I don't want to be in this war. Yep. But I have to just do it, so I may as well just bite my bullet for good luck, throw it in the magazine, and away we bloody go.
Yeah.
Now, the origin. Oh, so the definition of it, like the meaning, decide to do something difficult or unpleasant that one has been putting off or hesitating over. See, I can read it, but my punctuation is fucked. Like, I was just like putting off or hesitating over.
Yeah,
whereas
biting the bullet.
You did the thing where you read ahead, seen the question mark, and then remembered to inflect on the last word before the question.
Oh, yeah. But I do that a lot. I guess, English teaching, I do it a lot.
I still read Goosebumps books to, like, strengthen my reading.
Hey, R.L. Stein, man. He's OG.
He's the legit. And also the, side quick story, the artist that did the artwork on the front, Tim Jacobs, actually signed a copy of his autobiography for me.
Oh, cool.
Just by email. Like, I didn't meet him.
Yeah.
But it came out in the 90s, and there wasn't many copies available in Australia, so I messaged him and said, do you have any? And he was like, I don't have any. I don't even have my own personal copies anymore.
Wow.
It came out so long ago. Because authors are given like a certain amount of copies for themselves. He's like, I haven't even got any of those left. Sort of thing. He said, just try eBay or Amazon. Basically, just gave me a couple of places where he's seen them before and left it at that. Now, I looked on Amazon and I only found a few, and they only were shipping within the US. Okay. So, like a Hail Mary play, I emailed Tim Jacobs and said, look, would you be able to do me a favour? If I was to purchase it from Amazon, have it shipped to you, could you sign it and post it to Australia? Like, just the last ditch effort.
Yeah.
Ditched effort. I don't know what the actual
ditch
thing.
Effort.
Yeah, there you go. See.
Singular, yeah.
Yeah. It's like people that say escape coat or escape goat. So he was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm happy with that. I said, send me your PayPal details, I'll cover the postage.
What a good guy.
And he did, man. And I bought it, sent it to him, he signed it and posted it to me, and I paid for the cover the thing. And yeah, he was all cool with that. So, hey, the actual fucking dude signed his own thing, and I did a little bit of a story with him.
Yeah, man.
But then he actually... So I to communicate with him, I didn't email him. Actually, I messaged him on his Facebook page. He then friend requested me.
Oh, wow.
And now, like, his personal page and I are mates.
What a legend.
And, like, I thought that would be the end of that transaction. Every now and then he'll like a photo of me or comment on something and, like, just still sort of have a little bit of back and forth. Like, fuck, that's cool,
What a great
man.
guy.
Yeah.
You know what? Be good to your fans. You know, like, be nice to your fans, yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, a quick aside. My brother-in-law, he was because he works in the music industry, and he was working for, like, it's an Asian rap label, 88 Rising.
Okay.
They're huge, like, they're massive.
Yeah.
He was in New York, and then COVID happened, and he had to come back. And he's back in Sydney now. So he's stuck in
Sydney
yeah, he's
again.
just basically
Shit,
just COVID hotspots. That's his
yeah.
life. Yeah. Lovely guy, like really
Holy
smart
fuck,
as well. But and he had to do the 14-day quarantine, like in a hotel in Sydney or whatever.
Fuck.
And then my sister-in-law reached out to one of the guys from Regurgitator, who were like, you know, my brother-in-law was one of his favorite bands back in the day.
I've seen him play at the basement.
Yeah,
before,
man, they're awesome.
Yeah.
And then he, like you said, I'll give him a shout out while he's in and he doesn't know us or anything like that. I'm like, what a legend, you know. Like, we all did shout outs for Derek, my brother-in-law, and then like, you know, what a legend. Like, it's so cool. Like,
I've met a lot of fairly decent, well-known musicians over the years from working at the bar, and all the big ones are super cool and humble. Like, the only time I've ever had really any, like, douchebaggy kind of people are people that aren't big.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If you've made it in that industry, in my experience, everybody who's been in that, like, upper tier has been very personal and personable. And actually, I met the singer from a band called Cradle of Filth.
Oh, yeah, I know Cradle. Is it Danny?
Danny Filth,
yeah.
And I wanted to go get something signed after the gig. And it was... I just wanted a photo after the gig. I didn't want anything signed. And my buddy, who was there for the gig, was like, hey, if you're going to go get a photo, because he wasn't doing meet and greets, but because I worked there, I was like, maybe I could do like just duck into the green room and be like, hey, do you want like any drinks or anything? You know, everything all good? By the way, can I get a photo? Like one of those things.
Yeah.
And I go in there, and I'm just like, I was so nervous, I nearly called him Mr. Filth. Like,
that's so good.
Mr. Filth. Yeah,
that's so sweet.
Like, in my mind, I was just like, excuse me, Mr. Filth. Like, I was rehearsing the lines before I went in there, and luckily, just before I said it, I went, oh, don't call him Mr. Filth.
Oh, Marky, that is the sweetest thing of all time.
So I go in there and I'm like, oh, excuse me, Danny, is everything all good? Do you want any drinks or anything? He goes, no, I'm fine, actually. It's all good, thanks. And I'm like, cool, no worries. Hey, man, do you mind if I get a photo with you, man? I'm a big fan I've been listening to you for years. He goes, sure, no worries. Oh, so we get this photo, right? And I'm like, look, one other thing, I've got something that I'd like to get signed for my friend. He's here tonight. And he goes, oh, yeah, sure, what is it? I'm like, look, he hasn't got anything to be signed. So I've got this Pokemon card. I was wondering that he had in his wallet. I was wondering if you'd like to sign that. He goes, sure, yeah. What's his name? And I was like,
Marky.
his name's Mr. Filth. So I'm like, look, his name's Ben. And the funny thing is, I didn't realise that the Australian accent is so difficult for people that don't come from Australia. And he starts writing, dear, and he writes B-E-A. Oh. And I'm like...
Like bean?
Yeah, he goes to put the A, and then he goes, hang on, what's his name? And I'm like, oh, it's Ben. And he just like he hasn't done he's put the A in there.
Right.
And he just turned the A into an N.
Nice.
And he's just gone,
save.
He just goes, it's like an N with like a fucking A and just a line on it. And he just goes, oh, I thought he said his name was Bean. Isn't that funny? Someone called Bean. And then he's like, and he just goes on his own little tangent. He's just like, fuck, imagine someone called Bean. That'd be a funny name, wouldn't it? Bean. Why did I think his name was Bean?
What a legend.
And then he goes, oh, chap, have a good night. And like that was me meeting him, and I was just like, fuck, dude, I got this thing signed, and I also got a story out of it. And it's just all about being good to your fans.
Yeah. Do you want to know a theory on the Australian accent, or do you want?
Yeah, go ahead. I want to know.
All right, so this is a theory. So this isn't like bona fide or whatever. Apparently, the reason why our accent like sounds as it does is because when a lot of the actually for a long time, like people basically living in all of the outback kind of areas, they spoke with their mouths clenched so flies wouldn't get in. So they go like, yeah, g'day mate, how are you? Oh yeah, good. Yeah. Oh, tops. Yeah, it's grouse. And so when you do that, you'll like an Aussie person will instinctively like start, just kind of like talking like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a blend of like Cockney English and Irish.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you kind of like, you blend that, it's like top of the morning to you. And
yeah.
you'd be like, oh, you what, am I bothered? And I'm kind of like talking like this.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
actually a good theory.
It could be completely wrong.
It's actually fucking also hilarious, which is why I want to believe it.
Yeah, but it makes, I don't know, it kind of makes sense. Like when you clench your jaw, you just sound so like ochre. Aussie.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. I always like, because I come from like the North Shore of Sydney, and so I do have that kind of accent, but occasionally when I was in the US, people would be like, "Are you British?" And I'd be like, "No." But then when I go to England, because I've got family there, and they were like, everyone would be like, "Oh, you're Australian." Like that straight away, you'd be like, "Yeah." They would just go boom. I'm like, "Oh man."
It's like when I'm talking, like if I'm drunk and I'm talking to someone with an accent, I'll start mimicking it. Yeah. Like, I fucking do it all the time, dude. Like, and I feel so bad that I do that because some people, everyone I've ever met has always, like, had a laugh about it.
Yeah.
But the amount of times I've just gone, like, fuck, dude, imagine if I went overseas and, like, some drunk dude came up to me and started trying to do an Australian accent.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. Like, yeah, it's funny how people, like, look at it that way. But, dude, when you hear an Australian in a movie...
Yes.
It's pretty distinctive.
Oh, big time.
But I also think that some people put on...
I reckon
they play it up a little bit.
I heard one theory that... I heard the opposite. So this was on a podcast with I can't remember his name, but he was an Australian director, and he said that actors will often instinctively do that. Like, yeah, g'day, mate, how are you? And he'd be like, no, just do your regular Australian accent, do your Sydney or Canberra accent or whatever, and that'll be fine.
Oh,
yeah. So that's, but again, that's one person's opinion. Like, you could be right. Like,
dude, I'm just holding off for if they ever do an Australian version of Sons of Anarchy to get into it.
Dude, you're ready. You could just walk straight onto the set.
Dude, this is the difference, though, man. Like, Australia has a few true crime things that they could do. They could do like that. But the thing is, man, because we haven't been around for that long, all that shit's still fairly fucking fresh. Like, some of it is still an active thing. Like, some stuff can't really, like, the Underbelly...
It's too soon.
Yeah, like, Underbelly series was... they did one thing from the early 2000s, which was the, like, Melbourne stuff.
Yeah.
And that was after it was all said and done.
Yeah.
Whereas, like... Before that, I think all the other series, there was a few that were set like in the early.
There was one in the 70s, I think,
50s, 70s,
with the heroin trade and that kind of thing,
and the brothels in King's Cross, and
there was Squizzy, wasn't that? Like that was in like the Jazz Age,
yeah. Dude,
I didn't watch it.
But you can tell how old it is when Squizzy was a cool name. Like if you If you fucking said like, "Oh, I'm
gotta look out for Squizzy."
Yeah, I'm a notorious gangster. Watch out for me. I'll fuck you up. My name is Squizzy. They'd be like, dude, are you fucking taking the piss or what?
It sounds like a kid's YouTuber. It's like Blippy.
Dude, no, like Squizzy sounds like the fucking Fifth Wiggle.
Oh, dude. You see, you probably, do you even know who Blippy is or not? Are you unaware? It's like, oh god, our kids went through a Blippy phase.
Oh yeah, see,
it's like,
I'm still watching Hey Arnold, man. Like,
oh, that classic.
Yeah.
Old school.
I get through I love my 90s shit. Like, I'm a fan. I'm kind of. Didn't they say that a lot of parents stop? Their fashion sense stops when their first kid's born.
Yeah,
it's a weird fact. Yeah, but like the more I think about it, the more I realize that a lot of well, at least dads. A lot of the dads I know still wear 90s shit. Like, yeah.
Am I 90s or not with this like floral get up or not?
No. Okay. That's
you're like, Jeff, I can loan you a shirt if you like.
Yeah, dude, like that's something else.
Off mic. We'll talk off mic.
I don't think that's related to having kids.
Oh god, that was good.
Okay, so the
biting the bullet.
So the origin during battles where there was no time to administer anesthetics, and anaesthetists.
Yep.
While performing surgeries, because of that, patients were made to bite down on bullets to distract themselves from the pain.
Yep. In the old, like if we go all the way back to ancient Rome, because I remember watching this in history when I was like year 7. Like some, Roman historical show, they would literally give you like the butt of like a sword or a stick, and you just bite down and boom.
Yeah. I seen that in what was it? It was like 300 or something. One of those Roman Spartacus.
Yeah,
I think.
Greek. Oh, yeah. Spartacus is Roman.
Yeah. See, this is
but there actually. Here's fun fact: you were right because it's Roman, but Spartacus himself was Greek. He was from Thrace.
Okay.
So it was Thracian.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Like, that's as right as I've ever been, by default. But, yeah, like, the historical correctness of Spartacus is probably a little bit questionable because they just thought that by adding "icus" on the end of everything, it made it seem more, like, historically correct. Like, there's scenes in that movie where they're just like, every word in the sentence, they add "icus" on the end of it. They're just like, Spartacus, get the medicus so that we can, like, they called it the medicus.
Pig Latin.
Yeah, like, it literally was like that.
Yeah. Fun fact, Stanley Kubrick directed that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He wasn't, I don't think he was that happy about it, but yeah, so.
Yeah, well, like,
it's not like any of his other films.
Maybe that's why it's not as known, because he didn't promote that he directed that. Like, if I'm not happy with a set that I do, I don't put it on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
like it's
no,
like
why would you do that? Like, here is me bombing. Like,
dude, how funny is it when you hear stories of people putting their, like, I was lucky enough that I think what helps comedians a fair bit is in the beginning we're very, like, self-conscious of us doing comedy.
Yeah.
But, like, how funny is it when every now and then you get someone that has my level now of fucking wanting to be seen when they first start?
Oh.
Like I put my shit on YouTube, I have a podcast, all that crap.
Yeah.
I do as much as some professional comedians do, and I've only been doing it for 3 years. But occasionally you'll get someone in the scene that'll do like 2 open mics and they've got a comedy page, they've got sets on, they got their first, second, third,
ready to go,
all online. It's like, all up there, and then you don't see them again for like after a few months, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's hard. Like, I think because it's also that, it's like in the same thing that you're mentioning that, and I do it to an extent as well, that you're looking at what the professionals are doing, and so you're going to mimic what they do because that's how you get there, and that's true. You know what absolutely, like, floors me is, like, when you see people who get up and they're just so good, like that Joey Richards, like, she just got up and just absolutely slayed, and you're just like, wow, like, and then you find out, oh, you've only been doing it for like X amount of time, and I've been doing it for years and years, so it's like,
personality plays into it a bit.
Oh, just skill, like, you just meet some people that just got it. It's like.
It also comes from, like, other professions that skills are transferable you may not actually link them to. Like, I've had people that, like, maybe a director in their company and they have to give a lot of speeches and they'll come to an open mic and fucking slay.
Yeah, right.
But it's because they do public speaking, although it may not be comedy, they can still handle a crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. People that do radio, people that do TV,
that's true.
that
That's a good
sort of
point.
shit.
Yeah.
Like, people that are in that sort of field can sometimes transfer their shit. Now, this is one that I've used before. Caught red-handed.
Yep. So it means you've been caught in, like, usually in the act of something, and it's very obvious that you've been caught.
Yeah.
That's what I think it means.
Yeah, so I've used that before, and it's the same thing.
Yep.
That I think. Now, origin for that. What do you think created that?
God, I would say something like you got caught stealing something, for example, and then they literally, like, scored your hand. So they'd, like, cut the hand open, and you're like, Jeff has been caught red-handed stealing onions from the market.
Yeah.
And then, like, you're like, don't do it.
As a sign to show that you're a thief.
There's blood coming out of his hand. So that's what happens to thieves. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds similar to a previous one that we had about the cutting out the tongue of liars, right? Yeah, so my thought from that was... I had this idea of when they used to cook food in open places on, like, open grills for, like, instead of each home having a kitchen, they would have, like, areas where the whole town would eat, like feasting halls and shit.
Right.
I picture a place where all this food's cooked, right? Now, if you wanted some of that food before it was cooked or before it was plated up or taken out or whatever... There'd be people that would just steal it off the hot plate, like it was hot, and they'd burn their hands. And you, obviously being of a time that didn't have, like, medical knowledge and all that sort of shit, you may have, like, a red hand
from the heat of the
thing,
Yeah.
or, like, grabbing a pot of stew or some shit,
right?
And so people would be so hungry they would just fucking grab it straight off the hot plate or off the fire and not care that they got burnt, not seek medical attention, and people would realise that, okay, this dude's been stealing shit because his hands are all fucked up.
Wow.
So that's my origin to that. Actual origin. So the meaning, used to indicate a person that has been discovered or... discovered in or just after the act of doing something wrong or illegal.
Okay.
We both had that.
Yep.
Now, you with the origin?
There was an old law stating that if someone butchered an animal that didn't belong to him, he would only be punished if he was caught with the blood on his hands. If one was caught with meat but his hands were clean, he would not be punished.
Fucking weird, right?
Wow.
So, like... Imagine a time where people didn't wash their hands. How fucking crazy is that? Like,
wow.
They're just like, oh yeah, dude, you killed an animal last week because you still got blood on your fucking hands. Imagine just being
I know.
such a law that was written in a time where there was no, like, now the loophole would be like, oh, well, what if he washed his hands, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't even need to consider that into their law writing process. They were like, yeah, well, he didn't... Well, no one that kills an animal washes their hands after, so it's like it's law that if you've got red hands, you didn't... Like, if you're not a butcher...
If you can't see the blood, play on.
If you're not a butcher... And also, it's like... They also didn't have gloves or anything. It was just like...
It's crazy. Can you imagine, like, it's just amazing that humanity has gone as far as it has. Like, because, like little things, like, you get an infection. Like, wasn't it Alexander the Great died of a virus? You know, like, it's amazing that, like, things can... You know, you get an infection and you die. It's just...
I referenced this in one of my bits, but basically the saying broken heart comes from... apparently when people would, like, court and date and, like, from that era, there was actually a condition where this guy who may have already had a weak heart had a girl that broke up with him and he coincidentally died from a heart attack.
Wow.
And they were the saying apparently comes from that, where it was like he died from a broken heart. And like that saying, right? It also just goes to show how much more fucking passion was involved in relationships then.
Like pre-Tinder.
So instead of swiping right, this guy has gone and made sure that, like, everything, all the planets aligned, he could finally date this girl, and then all of a sudden she just wasn't fucking into him or
like,
whatever.
It's destiny. We're meant to be together.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
She'd be like, actually,
Like,
I'm not really that into you.
He stood below the castle and played the lutes to get her attention, and imagine all that shit, and then all of a sudden, it's kind of the more you look into like those times, the more you realise that if that person exists now, they'd be fucking creepy. Like that person, like if anyone put that much effort into dating someone now, the person would be turned off purely based on the effort they put into it.
It's weird.
Like something that would have been seen as so romantic and cute back then would be called a red flag now.
Yeah, definitely. Times change.
Yeah. But
right. Should we do the next one?
Yeah. So we got raining cats and dogs.
So it's raining a lot.
Yeah,
so it's like big rain.
Yeah,
big rain, as we say in Australia.
Big rain energy. Yeah.
Okay, do you want me to do the origin?
Yeah.
Or do you want to do it?
Well, I'll go ahead. So, raining very hard. We already covered that meaning.
Oh, actually, yeah. Sorry, I jumped a gun. Sorry. There's another idiom for you. I've got no idea about this.
Surprisingly, jump the gun didn't make it onto this.
Okay, I'm going to say that like it's so much rain that like the animals are going nuts in the village.
That's actually a really good point. I actually thought of it as something where it was like, you ever heard the story about the frog eggs that got taken up by evaporation into the clouds? It was like said to be the reasoning behind the biblical plagues.
Oh, right.
So they say that there
Never
was
heard
actually this river that was really creek or pond or wherever lake that was really heavily populated by frogs.
Yep.
To the point where the entire lake bed was covered in larvae, like eggs.
Yeah.
And there's a certain process, like certain time within the incubation period of these eggs where they can actually be so small that they can be like taken via evaporation.
All right.
And what was happening was they were getting up into the atmosphere, into the clouds, and then eventually developing to the point where they were too heavy to stay in the cloud and falling out. So there was literally like half-formed frogs or tadpoles falling from the sky.
Wow.
And that's I watched a documentary once where they explained every one of the
Phenomena.
Yeah, and how it could have happened at that point in time.
Never heard that.
For some reason, I likened that to this saying.
Okay.
And so, like, I was just saying that, like, over the years, people change shit. They're like, oh, it goes from raining frogs to raining cats to raining dogs to
and you think
cats
like
and dogs.
You think linguistically, frog to dog is not a big leap.
Not a
in
big
English.
leap. In English, yeah.
Yeah.
Or just anything. They could have said, like, frog to birds to something. Like, eventually it's been mixed in translation where at some point something has fallen from the sky, like ash or animals in this case, which has been translated through to cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Because as stories go bigger, they're like, oh, it starts off, oh, it was so crazy, it was raining tadpoles, to it was raining frogs, to it was raining this thing, and then eventually it's like the story progresses and everyone exaggerates it. They're just like, it rained cats and dogs.
Yeah. Well, it's like wasn't there a thing where it rained herring somewhere?
Herring?
Yeah, the fish.
Yeah, that's a similar thing.
Yeah, I don't know, like, yeah.
Yeah, so,
All right.
now the raining cats and dogs, the origin. This origin has two stories that explain its origin. The first explanation says that the origin of its phrase comes from the Norse mythology, where cats would symbolize heavy rains and dogs were associated with the god of storms, Odin.
Okay.
The second version says that in 16th century England, houses that had thatched roofs, which were one of the few places where animals were able to get warm, sometimes when it would start to rain heavily, roofs would get slippery and cats and dogs would fall off, making it look like it was raining cats and dogs.
Oh, sorry, I just dropped my phone there. So, okay.
Interesting.
I like it.
Now, blood is thicker than water.
So, you need to be loyal to your family rather than your friends.
Yep, and the same as what I was thinking. The reason I thought that happened is because of the have you ever seen like the blooded handshake?
Yep. Yeah, the split thumb. Yep.
Yeah. Oh no. So there was one where they'd cut across the hands and shake hands.
Yeah.
Now I thought that would say that like even though we've shaken hands. it goes back to the red hand thing.
Yeah.
You can't wash that
Yeah.
blood
You're
off.
melded.
So like no matter how many times water touches your hand or sweat, you'll still always have the friendship handshake that we did.
Yeah.
So now we'll get, if you read the
Yep.
unless you so you,
I was going to go something very similar, just literally just like, it's sharing blood.
Yeah.
So like whether it be, through the handshake or like, you're of the same blood, you're of the same family, therefore it's, it's greater than, so that's like, that was my understanding of it. But let's go. All right. The origin. Oh, so the meaning is, the definition we've got is family relationships and loyalties are the strongest and the most important ones. Mm-hmm. So then say, for example, your friends or colleagues or whatever. The origin. Even though many might think that this saying means that we should put family ahead of friends, it actually meant the complete opposite. The full phrase was, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. And it referred to warriors who shared the blood that they shed in battles together. These blood brothers were said to have stronger bonds than biological brothers.
There you go. So it's like actually the opposite to what some people
go.
think. And to be honest with you, though, I think that when two people would cut their hands and shake hands, it was actually called blood brothers. So it's kind of in that same vein, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, the second last one we've got here is number 9. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
So my meaning of that is if someone gives you something, you shouldn't sort of like assess it and be like, is this? You gave me a Switch, but I prefer a PS5.
Yeah,
It's basically don't be overly rude and be an ungracious gift receiver.
Another saying similar to that is beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that's people are aware of that one.
yeah.
Now I thought that this I have the same thoughts. This one's pretty open and shut as far as the meaning goes.
Yep.
But to someone that never heard this saying before, it's you wouldn't think that straight away, maybe. Now I thought that it came about because the origin, which I thought may have just been from a luck thing.
Okay.
So I thought that it may have been like, if someone gives you a horse,
Yeah.
it'll be a winner as long as you don't assess it.
Right, okay.
So the idea was, if someone gives you a horse, put it on the track without questioning
Right.
it. Because the minute that you look it in the mouth, then it's not lucky anymore.
Okay. I think it's similar. Like, I think it's like, because you look at horses' teeth for their health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long they are or something, how old they are.
Yeah, how old they are. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't, I know that.
Because they say it's getting a bit long in the tooth. That means that it comes from horses.
Yep. So I think that it's literally just like horses are extremely valuable, like both then and today. And so if someone gives you one, you shouldn't go like, well, is this a good one? Or is this like, did you give me, bloody did you give me Boxer from Animal Farm? He's about to be sent off to the glue factory.
Yeah, dude, I fucking love the impression. Oh, like, it sounds like... it sounds like the fucking... the dude that owns Anakin and his mum?
Watto.
Yeah, Watto.
I can do a Watto.
Yeah, dude, Watto. Like...
Little Andy, little Andy, Jedi mind tricks don't work on me.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, I look at that.
I feel like Watto would be the kind of guy that would get the shits if you gave him a horse.
Oh, yeah.
How am I meant to feed
I look
it?
at those characters, it is a bit problematic in that movie. Like, I just look back on it and I'm like, oh,
But
this
the
is
thing
great.
is, like, Watto, like, you could picture someone, like a human, that is a Watto. Like, he's got the 5 o'clock shadow, the bald guy, wears a singlet, like, owns a junk shop, like that kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some people, there's been I was reading some stuff on it, like some people say that it's not, it's not the most polite portrayal of people in that line of work. So
Yeah, true, yeah,
like
yeah.
it's I don't know. I look at a bunch of the characters in that Phantom Menace, and I'm kind of like, oh, some of these voices are like, because even like Jar Jar, like that's speaking patois, that's problematic too. Like
Yeah.
but it was released in '99, but yeah.
Well,
I just
hey
look
man,
back and I'm like,
I've put this bit on stage on YouTube, so I can address it. in the early movies, they fucking refer to Tuscan Raiders as sand people.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it's just
not
like
good.
that's
Yeah,
fucking
that's
rough
bad.
as shit, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit like in the movie The Nugget. Have you ever seen that Australian
I
film?
know of it. I haven't seen it.
There's a junkyard guy that's literally that guy, wearing a singlet, wearing he's like, you know, well, so what are you going to do for me, sort of person.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and he's literally the human depiction of that. Only he's
what
got
a-
hair instead of a bald head.
Oh, okay.
But there's also there's a movie called Pathology.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so I won't like spoil it, but basically there's a character in that's short lived.
Okay.
And he's that guy.
All right.
And he lives in a caravan under a bypass.
Right.
And he literally is like the human version of Watto.
I think part of the criticism is that, like, and again, I don't know if it's necessarily that stereotype, but they kind of, I think I've read something online where it's that they're making a link between that and like Shylock from The Merchant of Venice, which is, and Shylock's Jewish. So they sort of, some people believe that it's a slightly racist portrayal. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of problems with the Phantom Menace. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of
There's a lot of problem with old movies.
That's
anyway.
true. That's a good point, Marky.
Yeah, it's like some things were overlooked.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Now you've got the.
Am I doing the origin? Or is it
Yeah,
your
yeah.
turn?
Go
It's my
for it.
turn. Okay. While buying a horse, people would determine the horse's age and condition based on its teeth, and then decide whether they want to buy it or not. This is the reason why people use this idiom to say it is rude to look for flaws in a thing that is given to you as a gift.
Yeah, pretty close.
I think we were bang on with that one. I think we were yeah.
Now I've saved this one for last.
Ugh,
The closer. Turn a blind eye.
Yeah, so that basically means turning a blind eye is like knowing that someone is, you know, like you've seen something that you know is wrong, but you choose to not acknowledge it. So
Yeah. That's exactly what I understood the meaning to be. Origin that I thought may have been because you're turning, which you wouldn't see something anyway, but you're also saying that you're turning with a blind eye.
Uh-huh.
So I'm thinking, similar to the cold shoulder, you're turning away, yeah?
Right, okay.
So you're not only turning away, but you're closing one eye. A blind eye, one eye.
Right.
So I'm picturing someone sees something and they squint like, I didn't want to see that.
Yeah.
And they turn to look
So do
away.
one of
yeah?
these ones,
As you
yeah.
notice, my voice getting lighter and darker from the mic. Louder and quieter, I mean.
Yeah. I like the light and dark. It's a nice metaphor. You know?
It's I have weird visuals in my mind of how stuff works, because when I hear voice,
You've got like synesthesia. You know?
well, yeah, when I talk, it's like a Beethoven thing, I think.
I did see you there. You know, what was it? Did you know the thing that he listened to the floorboards?
No,
So like, because he was basically deaf by the end, so like he would listen to the floorboards for
it
the
shows
vibrations.
too. His last albums were fucking terrible,
Yeah, that disco album, no good.
dude. 1 and 2 was fine, by the 9th it was fucked.
Yeah, Beethoven, The Night Away, not good.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
good.
It was the Beethoven Returns, terrible. The Essentials Beethoven album by the end.
Look, he was just retreading.
Yeah, he fucking
No, he listened to the vibrations so he could pick the notes.
he guest starred with Billy Joel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, the vibration. So, like, when I hear sound through, because I do a lot of editing, although it's not quite so obvious.
We might need to do some today.
Yeah, absolutely. Between now and when this episode comes out. If this isn't
lot.
edited out,
Oh,
then
God, no,
it may
this is-
survive the slaughter. But when I think of sound, I imagine when I'm editing it, so I can actually see sound waves as far as like when like, so if someone yells, I actually think of the color red because it clips when it hits the top of the sound bar.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's something that I've only had since I've started doing radio. I have like visual representations of noise.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
Wow. There you go. You're the human manifestation of Soundwave the Transformer.
Yeah.
Soundwave superior,
No, I'm-
Constructicons inferior. Who are you calling inferior? This is just I can narrate basically 60% of the, probably more like 80% of the original Transformers the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cartoon one.
Dude, I'm fucking I actually watched The Toys That Made Us recently.
Yes, I've seen that too.
Yeah, and they fucking fully go into that.
Yeah,
man.
let us
Now-
like, we need a whole set of new toys. Kill all the characters.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Remember,
Why?
he died for us, sort of thing. Like,
Oh.
but like, I'm more like Bumblebee. I'll just think of movie quotes and references to form a sentence and put them all together.
I can do a star scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who disrupts my coronation? Megatron? Like, yeah. It's,
Dude,
yeah.
how distinctive were voices then? It's
Oh,
like they had
yeah.
to make kids pay attention for 5 fucking seconds.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny that those kids are now our adults and running everything, and that's why everything's just so fucking, like, I look at the click rate on my fucking podcast, and it's like average listen time, 45-minute episode, 5 minutes. Oof. And
Yeah, I guess so. You know, like,
but like,
you know, that's like everything though, isn't it? Like, if I don't like something, it's like, boom, you know, you're watching a special, and like, somebody told me to watch, I can't even remember what it was.
yeah.
But if it wasn't someone like that I knew really, really well.
Well, a lot of the people-
I watched like 2 minutes, and
Yeah.
I was like, nope. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and I'm like, that's brutal. Like,
I'm glad you covered the name there, because like a lot of the people who have comedy specials on Netflix listen to the show, so it could have been any one of them.
oh, sorry, yeah, jeez,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad. I always try to play it safe, Marky. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I just can't let any feelings be hurt.
I'm just so happy to be here.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is amazing.
Not to mention the hate that I'm gonna get from Lucas
Yeah.
from fucking with his creation of Star Wars.
No, well, he doesn't even own it anymore.
Yeah, no, but he
Yeah.
owned it then.
No, he's like, man, he walked away with that $4.5 billion. It's
It's a bit like
just
it-
like, mate, he's like,
Dude, it reminds me of when I was a kid. I had one of those dart guns where you like lick the end of it and put it in the
Yeah.
fucking thing. Like they weren't very COVID safe, but at the time we didn't.
yeah, it's the 90s.
You literally were shooting COVID. It's like more of a lethal weapon than an actual gun.
It's like herd immunity.
Yeah. So it's as if a bullet could and then later infect someone else. But so
So that's got something. Yeah.
hey,
That's got legs.
yeah. So that carny will up the price. But anyway, that's where I got it. Anyway, so I was sitting in the back of the car shooting the windscreen while Dad was in the driver's side,
Oh,
but
he
we
must have gone
we
nuts.
hadn't started driving yet. We're just sitting in the car waiting for my mum to come back, and I'm like, Dad, what would you do if I did this while you were driving? Like, I was already kind of like, it was like when you like a chick in school and you're like, hey, what would you think if like we were like started dating? Will that be a thing? Like, I was already preempting the latest strike. Like, softening the blow for later when I shoot the
is it like-
windscreen while he's driving.
Yeah, but it's like, isn't it just like, hey, do you want to go to the movies? Like, you know, like,
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
it that
I was a
maybe
very
like-
complicated child. It's like,
What would you think if we were to start dating?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Now, like,
just hypothetically,
hypothetically speaking,
how
Oh,
would like I remember
God.
there was this girl that used to sit I was in a I don't know what it's called, where they have an all boys class and all girls class.
Oh, well, like, yeah, same sex streams or single sex classes. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But it was at a co-ed school, right?
it was a
So,
co-ed
yeah.
school, but they like obviously, because I don't know the right term for that, it was because the guys that didn't pay attention were put into the boys class.
So the girls could go and learn.
The girls could go
Yeah,
and learn
yeah,
because, like, we had another few years before we could
You guys
catch
were-
up
you
to them
guys were like the
academically.
zoo. Like,
yeah.
I've taught classes like that.
Like, if Go Go Stop was auditioning for kids, they wouldn't come to the all boys class. Just representing the school, and they're like, okay, what is the opposite to up? And you're just sitting there like, this is why we don't choose kids from the all boys class. But I remember our classes were next to each other, so before we'd go into the class, we'd have to line up out the front and then go in, right?
Yeah.
Towards the start of the year, but towards the end of the year, all the boys would just come back after lunch, and the teacher would come in, and it would be like the start of kindergarten cop, where there was like planes flying around everywhere and people just fucking eating each other's lunches and shit. Yeah.
What does he do?
Shut up!
Shut up!
Yeah, so it's not a ferret. No, it's not a ferret. It's not a tumor. And
Not
then,
a tumor.
Yeah, and then he's just like, it's not a fairy. That's right. It's not a fairy.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So anyway, he no one's ever done that, Arnie.
No,
impression.
no.
So-
This is fresh ground
yeah,
right now. Like,
this guy generated a podcast of something that's based on impression. Anyway, so I went to we're facing each other. This is my like little primary school relationship. There was this girl in the all girls class that we used to be friends the year before they split us into boys and girls.
Yep.
And I'm looking out the window as they're lined up still following the rules, and we're inside running a mark.
yeah.
I look out the window and I would just wave, like, while she was in the line.
Oh.
And it became a thing. We would just wave.
Yeah.
And then her friend came up and said, hey, would you like to date our friend? And I was just like, oh, no, thank you. And then her friend comes up and said, would you like to date me? And I'm like, no, thank you. And then she goes, no, I'm still a gentleman. No, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it. You're honest.
And eventually she came up. It was like the warm-up act. The first two girls were like the ones to see how committed I was to this girl I used to wave to. She comes up and says, would you like to date this girl, which was the one I used to wave to? And I'm like, yes.
This is bizarre. Like, I love it.
That is in fact my card, yes. Is this your card? So I was like, okay, well, now we're dating. I can't just wave.
No.
So I need to up my game a little bit because we were waving at each other before, but now we're officially dating. I can't just keep waving at her. That's like some like pre-dating shit. I need to like do something more than that.
Right.
So
like a peace sign now?
No,
like
so they
truckers? Yeah.
I do the most relationshipy thing I think I can do at that point. They're lining up, and now that we're dating, I blow her a kiss.
Oh, Marky, you're romantic.
Instead of waving. The reaction I got was, she's in the middle of the line with both girls that I rejected on either side. One as a messenger and one to her face. She just looks over, looks back, faces the front of the line, goes inside. Her friend comes up to me at lunch and says, oh, she doesn't want to date you anymore.
Oh.
Dude, I went in, ever since then I've realised you don't go in too hard with, like, I did my closing bit first, sort of thing, and it was hard to follow.
It's hard, you know, it's like, you know, you wanted to, you
yeah, dude,
you're in love, you know.
I've been emotionally shy ever since, but I just didn't know how
crushing
to.
early failures,
Yeah, like,
brutal.
So yeah, if anyone's listening to this podcast for more of an evidence collecting exercise to see where it all went wrong, year 5 all boys classes.
We found the origin.
The origin.
We found the Marky origin.
And
okay, so
speaking of origin,
did I say? I think my one, turning a blind eye. I'm going to say again. I'm going to go super literal, and it has to do with with blind people in like villages in the ye olden times. And basically, that they didn't know what was going on, so they just used them as a metaphor.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Okay. Now let's hear the actual origin. It is believed that this phrase originates with naval hero Hernando Nelson.
Horatio.
Horatio, yeah. I don't know why there's no even N in there. Even that sentence, there's no even N in there.
Yeah, no N. No N.
Yeah, just like, do you think this is Lex Dixie? Horatio Nelson. I should have got that being a CSI Miami fan. I see the shirt jogged my memory. Who used his blind eye to look through his telescope. This way, he was able to avoid signals from his superior, who wanted him to withdraw from battle. He attacked nonetheless, and was victorious.
There you go. See? Stick to your guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Isn't it? I think Nelson was the one. I'll just have to. I'm pretty sure that was Lord Nelson who defeated Napoleon, wasn't it? Was that? I think. No, Horatio Nelson, Napoleon. I might be getting muddled up here.
Dude, I said Hernando. Why are you asking me?
Sorry, I'm Googling Hernando as we speak. So,
Hernando Nelson.
Is it Napoleon? I might be getting mixed up.
Dude, I'm surprised I didn't just call him Nerando Helson and swap the first.
Yeah. Is it a portmanteau when you take, or a spoonerism? I think it's a spoonerism when you take the word from the other part.
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah.
A portmanteau is when you combine two words into one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so from memory. Oh god. So even in my English knowledge, I'm fatiguing now. I'm flagging. But no, it's been fun.
English teachers at the end of a hard day like to spoonerism.
I loved there was one English department I worked in. It was so much fun. Like they would just this guy who was very posh and British, and he'd be like, Jeffrey, you can only sit with us if you have gossip. It was so good. And then was another guy who'd be like, if I said something, I said something rude to him, like, and he was just like, well, he goes, you've made your bed now. I'm not speaking to you for a month. And he didn't. Like, he literally, I was just, he was just like, nope. He was like, you insulted my hair. I'm not going to speak to you.
Nice.
Like, yeah. And he just like walked out and I'm like, yeah, I owned it. I was like, it was a good call. Like I said to him, so this guy, he was, this guy, Tony, he was in, like, you know, like it was like a house system at the school. And so he was in the yellow colored house, but he was wearing like a blue, kind of like a floral kind of shirt like this. And I said, oh, Mark, you're not wearing your you know, like, look, they don't make us wear, like, the schoolhouse shirt, but, you know, you're supposed to wear your house colour.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, you're wearing blue. He was like, wear what I like. And then I said, oh, actually, to be fair, your hair's yellow, so you can do that, because he used to dye his hair, and he goes, it's champagne. He goes, I'm not speaking to you for a month. Like, yeah.
Dude, that guy in my mind has the same voice as Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like,
yeah, he was very fancy. Yeah, he was really smart.
I had a teacher one time that was very much he looked and acted more like someone who was like an English lecturer at a uni, not just like an English teacher at a primary school.
Yeah.
Like, he literally, like, he'd wear, like, his, like a trench coat with a top hat and stuff, and he'd come in and put his hat on the hat stand and take his trench coat off, and he'd speak, like, in this, like, voice that was just like,
hello, everybody.
Yeah, he was like, had this Australian accent, but it was like an Australian accent that you would see in a theatre.
Yes.
He was just like, you know, like, all right, so let's get to the class today, everybody in their seats promptly, and like he would use words like promptly instead of quickly and shit. Yeah. So we used to call him Lightning Tower because he was tall, thin, very like precise, and instead of being on playground duty where he'd walk around, he would stand in the middle of the oval and just point to people that were doing the wrong thing and being like, you know, Jacob just walking on the quadrangle, and it just like and one day he decided that the place he wanted to stand was under the basketball hoop. So there's literal people just fucking shooting hoop, hitting him in the top of the fucking top hat, and he's not moving, dude.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
He's just like stern, right? He's decided he's just standing there. But he used to roll his R's.
Oh,
so we'd sit down and have lunch, and then be dismissed to go and play, right? And I distinctively remember him at the end of every lunchtime. He was like the go. Even if he wasn't on playground duty, he'd come out from the break room to like do the you may go announcement.
Oh yeah,
he was like the guy for that. Like it was just like the fucking. Like, that was his shit, right? Like, the other teachers couldn't really follow him when it came to, like...
Oh, you get teachers like that.
So, he was like... He'd come out and he'd be like, you may go, do not run, rubbish in the bin. And he'd roll his R's every time. And sometimes he would get hyped because he knew that the rolling the R was his fucking closer. Yeah, and he'd roll it for a bit longer than, like, other times. Like, you could tell...
He'd be like...
If he was... he'd wind up to it and shit. Holy fuck, man.
Oh, but that's fun. Like, I think, because that's the thing I found when I first started doing comedy, to sort of maybe circle back a bit. Like, because I was like, I think I've been teaching about 6-7 years, and then I was getting I was like, I needed something else to do. And I was actually thinking of retraining and doing a law degree, because I was like, oh, I want a challenge.
Yeah.
And then I was just telling some teaching stories, and a friend of mine said, you should do that at stand-up. And I was like, nah, I can't do stand-up. And he was like, yeah. And then he said, well, what do you think you do every day? You know, you're up in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, it was one of those like weird. I mean, obviously, I bombed a lot, you know, for years after that. But yeah, it was one of those light bulb moments. You're like, oh yeah, like no, so many teachers are just it is a performance job. You're literally in front of a crowd. And I've noticed in like priests and ministers, like Anglican, Catholic, yeah, big time, because they get up there and they tell jokes, and they're telling jokes like, oh, so I was in Coles the other day, I was in the non-specified supermarket the other day, and you know, and they tell some bit, and because I don't know, they get bored.
I've been doing comedy for a bit now. I actually notice more stand-up in places where
everywhere.
It's not meant to be there.
Yeah.
Well, not intended to be there. So I've been to church before.
Yeah.
I went to a Catholic school for a while and we had to go to church. And when I think back at it, I'm like, yeah, dude, that guy was doing stand. Like,
He's doing shtick. He's doing shtick.
I can't perform in front of an audience without fucking trying to do a joke anymore. Like I did a speech at my mum's wedding.
Yep.
Got remarried like 6 years ago or something, or 8 years ago, depending on when I release this episode. And
yeah, I put it in the vault.
I hadn't, evergreen. So I have never, I didn't do comedy at this point, but I still wanted to say something funny.
Yeah.
Like, and now I get to the point, like, sometimes at the bar I need to go up onto the stage, between the bands and be like, kitchen shuts in half an hour, get your food orders in. Or like, hey, thanks everyone for coming out, make sure you remain seated. Like if you're
just doing announcements.
Yeah, just announcements and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
But I now can't do that without trying to say something funny.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But I also, if I'm just there to do an announcement and no one laughs, I take it personally, although I didn't say something funny. I just it's like every time I get on stage or talk to multiple people, even on New Year's Eve, right? I was chatting to a few people that I hadn't seen for a while, and it became like a bit of a group, and I ended up doing not material, but telling a couple of funny stories. Because there was a small crowd there, I instantly felt fucking obligated to make them laugh.
You're in the mode. It's what you do.
And now I can't stop doing that. Like it's fucking broke me. Like I can't like I'm constantly seeking validation. Like I can't even go down an elevator with someone else in there without saying, all right, between the 5th and the ground floor, I'm going to try and make this person laugh. And so
what about up the elevator? Do you make an exception? Like,
yeah. Well, I've got to get them to make me laugh, which is even harder.
and
most of the time it's in the morning, so it's quite hard to actually do. But yeah, man, it's what we do. It's part of our fucking part of the craziness that we fucking call comedy. But yeah, Jeff, thanks for coming in and doing the 2 parts anyway, and smashing through some stuff. I'm glad that we had some material to burn through and do some English stuff, give everyone a little bit more of an insight into how much of an educational tool this podcast can be.
Indeed, Marky Worthington education.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks for coming, and finally we'll plug your upcoming dates. We've got Fundamentals at Smith's
on the 21st.
Yep.
So I think the link's coming out soon.
Yep. Or is out by now. Yep.
I hope so. Yes. If you want to follow my socials, it's Jeffrey Charles Comedy. That's Jeffrey with a J, and I think that's pretty much it. So for me, but thank you for having me as well. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, cool, man. Thanks for being here, and as you probably know already, I've got Facebook, Marky Worthington Comedy, Instagram under the same name, Twitter, which I don't have a lot on, but you should follow me on that shit anyway. It's Marky Comedy. And also I've got some content on my YouTube channel, which is gaming stuff as well. So it's something I've just started this year. Make sure you give me some feedback if you like what I'm doing on there. I know I'm trying to combine 2 crowds of comedy and gaming, but that's kind of both things that I enjoy doing. It's more of just a channel about shit that I like. So yeah, thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more content. Cheers.
Don't buy me a drink. Just name names.
Yeah, right. Big Tony, you'll get fucking thrown out of the strip club with your floppy disk.
All day.
Make people feel shame for shit all day.
Don't blow
Turn
it.
it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right.
Keep it simple. Count your money.
That they're not proud of.
Just give me $10.